What up, what up, what up? What's going on, everybody? Welcome in. It's another episode of Caught Stealing, the Fantasy Alarm Fantasy Baseball Podcast. I'm Howard Bender, and still gone from us right now is Colby Conway. But, man, I had such a good time talking Yankees baseball with Joe Gallina last time that, you know what? We're running it back, baby. And Joe's going to stick around for the whole show here. No closer talk today. Just some great baseball conversation. We thank everybody for tuning in. If you're watching us on the YouTube channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. Nice free way to say we appreciate the work you guys are doing out there. And if you're watching us over on the YouTube, on the Twitter machine or wherever else you're catching this broadcast, well, head on over to the YouTube channel and hit like and subscribe. Joe, my man. What is going on? Welcome in. You're not wearing a Yankees jersey today? Is that like an alt? Oh, that's our farm team, the Athletics. That's our it's our 1970s farm club.
Yeah. Well, I thought the Pirates were our farm club, right? Because Skeens is coming over, and Cole's our ace. So, but the whole world's our oyster as Yankee fans.
You know what it really is, and I'm
the evil empire, and I'm proud to say it.
Well, isn't that the funniest thing, though? Also, is that it's really taken that turn. The Dodgers have really grabbed a hold of that, and okay, I'm all right with that. There was a little piece of me though. I dig being hated by everybody. Yeah, I really do.
That means that you're the team to beat. That means that you've been doing it right for so many years. So
yeah. No doubt. Well, listen, guys, we've got a great fantasy show for you here. We will be talking Yankees because I mean, how do you not talk about how good Paul Goldschmidt has been, but in the resurgent. But what we'll do here is we'll talk about some of the latest things that happened around MLB. But what I want to focus on right now is here at the end of May, right? 2 months in. Which players are hot? Which players are not? Do we expect second half resurgences? Do we expect these guys who are playing well right now to continue that? We'll also talk about, what our biggest surprises are, who our biggest disappointments are. Maybe the surprise section. Maybe that's where we'll get a little Goldie talk in there. Because, I was definitely surprised. I was definitely surprised to see how well he's done. So I don't want to spoil that talk for the meantime right now, but let's, as we like to start all these shows, because you always want to know what kind of mood your podcast hosts are in. It's all about taking a look at our fantasy teams right now. So Joe, how are your fantasy baseball teams doing? How many leagues are you in right now? What's going on?
Full disclosure, I'm only in 2 leagues. And the reason why, things are happening in my life. My daughter's getting married in a week, June 7th. When we're moving, my family's moving as well. So I didn't want to play the usual number of leagues that I play in. It's not fair to my league mates. So I thought that I could handle 2 this year, and I did. So I'm playing in a Tout Wars head-to-head league, which I love. I used to be strictly a roto guy, but this is my 3rd year playing in the Tout Wars head-to-head, and it's awesome playing head-to-head. And I'm playing in the TGFBI Roto League, the Great Fantasy Baseball Invitational. So yeah, I just thought that that's what I could handle for this year, and like I said, I didn't want to impose on my league mates. You know
what? I'm of that ilk as well. I do like to kind of pare down to make sure that things are running smooth, because football always grabs me away, right? I mean, on Sirius XM, the channel moves to football on July 4th, so it's always kind of tough to really stay in on all of that. Sidebar, Your Honor, here. Where are you moving to? Because I'm moving in 2 months as well. Where are you moving to, Joe?
Well, I wish I could move where I think you're moving to, but we're moving. I live currently in Staten Island, and we're thinking about moving to central New Jersey. Yeah. So I've got one son that lives in Jersey City, which is kind of the northern part of the state, and I've got a daughter who lives by the shore in Brick. So we'll kind of be right in between them.
The daughter who's getting married?
Yes, sir.
Do you like the guy?
Actually, I do, but we disagree on everything in sports. He's a Mets fan. I'm a Yankee fan. He's a big-time Jets fan. I'm a Giants fan. I follow the Rangers. I'm not a huge hockey fan, but I consider myself a Rangers fan. He's a Devils fan, but he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those exist?
Yeah, believe it or not, yeah. And my daughter found one.
Is he a face painter like David Putty on Seinfeld?
No. Got lots of tats. Maybe he'll get a nice Devils tattoo.
Nothing wrong with tats.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Come on, I can't get you to dish on this guy even just a little bit here, Joe.
No. He's a good guy. Let's
His taste in sports teams. His taste in sports team sucks. So
it really does. Oh, it really does. And I tell you, I'm cleaning out my house, and the New York Post used to have all these inserts and stuff, and I used to get all of them. So anything Met related, I threw his way. Anything Jet related, I threw his way. So we actually get along. He's a good guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe in a few months that'll change, but for now he's trying to get on my good side, I guess. Right?
As he should be.
Right.
I mean, did he do it right? Did he ask your permission for her hand in marriage? Did he do it the proper way here?
He absolutely did. And I had an issue with him that I addressed with him, and he kind of knew I was going to ask this question of him. He had the answer right away. So impressive.
There you go. All right. See that, folks? A little splash of the life of Joe Gallina here, right? Moving to Central Jersey, Staten Island. Yeah, that's and that's a kind of a pain in the well, because you've got the bridge there. It's kind of funny. I'm moving to Juneau, Alaska.
That's what I thought. I thought you were moving to Alaska.
Yeah.
And that is, I wish I could. I told my wife, I said, both kids are out of the house. Why don't we just make a huge move? So
yeah, absolutely. But
scout it out for me, okay? Scout out Juneau for me, and maybe
I've already scoped it out, man. I'll tell you what, man. I'll tell you exactly what neighborhood you want to be in and where you want to come hang out. There's no doubt about it. There's one sports pub in all of Juneau, Alaska. One sports pub, right?
And they're gonna have the pleasure of having the Roto Buzz guy pop in for an adult beverage and maybe a burger or something.
Well, that's what that's the plan. That's the plan. And for those of you out there who also appreciate the fantasy football talk, Scott Fishbowl Juneau 2026.
Oh, wow!
Already in the making.
Live draft in Alaska. That's
already there. So get ready, peoples. It's happening. But yeah, we're getting out of there. You're moving off of an island. I'm moving on to an island. So this is going to be a very, very nice little dichotomy here. I dig that. I dig that. So, all right. So of the two leagues that you're in, your Tout Wars head to head and your Great Fantasy Baseball Invitational, how are they doing in the sense of, like your general mood and feelings about baseball in general?
So this weekend, I had a big lead going into Sunday in my Tout Wars head-to-head. All week, I was like one of the top 3 scoring teams in the league, and I'm feeling comfortable on Sunday. We went out to eat. It was my birthday on Sunday, and so after we have our little meal, I decided to check in on the score. I had started the day like 40 or 50 points ahead of my opponent, Frank Amarante. So after I took a look, he had Tarik Skubal going for him, and he had Robbie Ray going for him. He got like 65 plus points just from his pitchers. And I started the day 50 points ahead of him, and I ended the day 5 points behind him. So I had to look 3 times before I believed what I saw. So, but in general, in terms of the vibe I'm getting from being in this particular league, it just shows me how tough starting pitching is, because so many pitchers don't make it to 5 innings. So many pitchers can't make it to the 6th inning to get that quality start. So many pitchers end up leaving the game with a lead and having their bullpens blow their leads for them. So, because what my strategy drafting this league was, I was going to pay up for offense, and I was focusing on guys that don't strike out much but hit for power, and I was just going to try to not spend too much on pitching. And I got some decent guys. Mackenzie Gore's had some flashes. Spencer Schwellenbach has done well. I only paid $13 for Justin Steele, but he went down for the season, obviously, with that injury. But that was my goal, was to try to find cheap pitching. And I tell you, I mean, I've been working the waiver wire real hard. And one of the worst things that happened to me recently was Logan Henderson got sent down from the Brewers.
Right. And after performing fairly well too,
Yes.
right? Like
Yeah.
all of a sudden, like it's like what a rug pull that
Mhm.
is.
Well, they're saying that it's because of Quinn Priester doesn't have
Any
enough
options.
right? So he'll be back, Henderson, and I'll hold on to him, of course. But that was a punch in the gut.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one there as well. I think I ended up I got Logan Henderson in labor, NL only labor.
Mhm.
And it's kind of cool that he gets sent down, because the way the labor bylaws is that anybody you purchase in an auction or anybody that you pay money for in free agency has to stay in your active lineup.
Oh wow!
Right? You can't just move a guy to the bench because he sucks, right? If you paid $12 for him in the auction, you're either got to drop him to put him on, to put him on your bench. You can't just stash him away. But if a guy gets throw down to the minors, well, then then it's a different story. Then you can kind of hold him. It's how I've held Henderson and Tobias Myers, also from the Brewers, because getting sent down. I was in Tout Wars head to head. Was it 2 years ago? I think I was there.
Well, it wasn't with me, because this is my third year. Frankie Stanfield won the first 2 years I was in there.
Was it always auction?
This is only my third year there, but since I've been there, yes.
Okay. I can't remember. It all blends together for me, Joe.
I know you're in tons of industry leagues and other leagues.
Oh, no, it's not that. It's age. It's 100% age. Come on, I got more gray than you. Look at that, people. Oh yeah, I've got more gray, and I wear the baseball hat so you can't see the thinning on top on me. You still got some hair on the top of your head.
Yeah. That's one thing I do have, is still a head of hair. But don't sell yourself short. There are plenty of people are going to be knocking you down. Howard, you don't need to knock yourself down. Come on. And you're not old. You're seasoned, man. You're experienced. You're experienced.
Nobody knocks me down better than I do, Joe. Come on, man. It's like a hand job, right? If I want somebody else to do it, I can do it myself. I already know what I like. The way it goes. All right. So all right. The tough loss there to Amarante. In head to head. How are you doing in that league in general? Like, you're up there?
So if I would have won, I would have been top 6, and that's what you need to make the playoffs. So this is my third year in, and I've made the playoffs the first 2 years, got to the semifinals, and I'm tired of getting the participation trophy. I want to try to win it. So I'm a game out of 6th place now with that loss, because you not only get a win-loss against your opponent, but you get a win-loss against the field, where top 6 scoring teams get a win and bottom 6 get a loss. So I'm a game out of 6th place.
Okay.
So I'm in striking distance.
It's all you need in a head-to-head league, right?
Yeah.
You just that's the funny thing, because I started off real slow in my one head-to-head league. My buddy Trace, he was like, come on, you got to join this league with me, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, fine, I'll do it. And then I find out that it's head-to-head. It's categories, not points, which I actually prefer the categories better there. But started off kind of slow. Obviously, when you get some slow starters there. I also lost a bunch of pitching early. My roto teams are crap right now. I'm not even going to try to – all I'm looking to do in FSGA is just not get relegated. So I'm sitting there at the bottom. But I mean, I lost Justin Steele, Shane McClanahan. I lost Garrett Cole, actually. I drafted him in the FSGA. So, piece by piece, everything's just kind of falling apart. And then you splash in some slow starts from guys like Julio Rodriguez,
Yes.
Michael Harris the second, like
Oh
these
my
guys
God.
all,
Oh my God.
right?
And, yeah, a couple of Braves players. I don't know. I mean, maybe they just need to get a new hitting coach because Ozzy Albies isn't hitting, like you said. Michael Harris isn't hitting, and Austin Riley got off to a slow start, starting to come around a little bit. And Matt Olson was. I don't know what's going on with the Braves, man.
I mean, you take Ronald Acuna out of that lineup, and then all of a sudden, like everything kind of goes to crap. I don't know, but they've had some issues with the pitching. Obviously, Spencer Strider not coming back at full speed.
Yep.
Has been a problem. He's not actually on the mound as we are recording here right now, going up against the Phillies, and he's actually, oh, look at that, he's actually pitching well. Nope, they pulled him out of the game after 4 2/3. Well, he threw 90 pitches, threw 4 2/3, 1 hit, 1 earned run, 4 walks with 7 strikeouts. Yeah,
those walks will kill you. And like I said, my strategy drafting that head-to-head team with about staying away from expensive pitching, because I just remember week after week after week last season, big time pitchers going down with injuries.
Yeah.
So I said, look, I'll find somebody on the waiver wire. So we'll see. Hopefully it works out.
Hopefully it works out. Well, I'm making a move actually in the head-to-head league, which is really nice. And I'll probably be like a couple of games out of that 6th place spot. But again, as I'm moving forward, my guys are starting to turn it up a little bit. So I'm not completely disgusted with fantasy baseball, but surprisingly, like you, Joe, I'm born and raised a roto guy. And now all of a sudden I'm like, oh, this head-to-head's not so terrible. It's terrible. It is. A couple of things going on around MLB. I don't know what's interesting to you. I mean, listen, if you guys want to know the injuries, just go over to fantasyalarm.com. James Grande. Actually, Colby Conway does the injury report. James Grande does the waiver wire. So Colby does the injury report, and you guys can check in with all the latest injuries there. I always like to, throw some happy news in for the podcast. Now, what I thought was happy news turned out to not be happy news for you, Joe, because I was kind of stoked about Tarik Skubal throwing his first ever complete game shutout. But seeing as how that screwed you over so much, I'll pass. I won't even congratulate him.
No, you can. I mean, and he did it, Greg Maddux style too, right? Through less than 100 pitches. I think he had 13 strikeouts, no walks. Am I right?
1 walk, 13 Ks, 1 walk. It was a 2-hitter.
Yeah. And if I remember, I think he ended the game on a strikeout, and he was still throwing like over 100 miles per hour. So, look, not much you could say about him other than that, he's an ace, he's
very good.
Yeah. He's good at baseball. He's good at baseball. Yeah.
The other fun and exciting thing here was obviously it's also Oneil Cruz. Now, I mean, listen, we're going to talk about players who are hot and players who aren't. Oneil Cruz started off slow, learning a new position, moving to the outfield, seems a little bit more comfortable there. But I mean, everybody's just going bonkers. 122.9 mile an hour exit velocity, breaks the old record of less than 122.9 miles per hour, which was set by Oneil Cruz himself. So, that's the hardest hit ball in the StatCast era, which started in 2015. Let me ask you this. As far as like all of these, I love looking at a guy's StatCast page. You like seeing a lot of red in there. You don't look for the blue. But when you're talking about like new metrics and stuff like that, and I'd say newer metrics over the last couple of seasons here. Actually, you and I haven't really spoken much about this, but in that realm, like exit velocity, launch angle, like what are the metrics that you're paying the most attention to these days?
Well, when it comes to these new StatCast metrics, I use them, but I use them like as a tiebreaker. Because I mean, you look at some of these stats, bat speed and whatnot. It's great to know, but it doesn't always equate to greatness on the field. At least that's the way I feel. I mean, as far as Oneil Cruz, must-see TV. Every time he comes to the plate, he could send something up into orbit. I mean, he does, in fact, lead the league in bat speed at just under 79 miles per hour. But, I mean, when it comes to all these stats, they're fun, like you said, but I kind of, use them as, like I said, if I'm tossed between picking 2 or 3 guys in a draft, then I might look at them more closely.
Well, as a Yankees fan, Joe, who would you rather see in the pinstripes, Paul Skeens or Oneil Cruz?
Oh,
why
Skeens.
not both?
Skeens. I mean, Cruz is, look, don't get me wrong, Cruz missile, right? But, he still strikes out a ton, unfortunately. 6th highest whiff rate in baseball. Defense is atrocious, right? And we already have a DH that's, he's not playing with us right now, and Giancarlo Stanton. But
is he our DH? I thought Ben Rice was our DH.
Well, right now Ben Rice is our DH, yeah. But this is what I'm wondering. Like, I don't know when Stanton's coming back. With those 2 elbows, supposedly like within the next month or so. And I just hope that Rice still gets plenty of at bats. What they should do with Stanton is just look.
Cut him?
No, well, yeah, but this too. I was never crazy about them picking him up either, but. What they should do is just sit him for the rest of the season. Just bring him in October because he always kicks ass in October.
Yeah, right. Latest update I'm seeing right now. Cashman, this was from Sunday. Brian Cashman said that Stanton will likely take live batting practice over the next 2 weeks and is getting close to a minor league rehab assignment. So that was over the weekend here. So if you figure like 2, maybe 3 weeks of some games, and maybe Stanton comes back late June, I'd almost be like, you know what? Why don't you just leave him be until after the All-Star break? Let Rice finish this. I would do that.
Yeah, actually, Rice became available in that head-to-head league that I was talking to you about. So I'll be putting in some bids for him this weekend.
Ooh, how aggressive are you going to get?
Hitting doesn't go for that much fab, believe it or not. I'm probably going to go maybe, you start off with 1,000. I'll probably go like $65. What do you think?
Right. Yeah, points league always skews towards the pitching, doesn't it? Like power hitters and pitching.
So listen, hey, I've been told you I've been moving a ton. Let me see if this comes across. You see this?
Oh, look at that. When was that from?
This is from when he was good.
If you guys are just listening to the podcast, it's an old Sports Illustrated with Giancarlo Stanton in a Miami Marlins uniform.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. But March 2nd of 2015. So he used to be awesome, Giancarlo, right? I don't know what happened.
What are you doing with
his name used to be Mike too, but anyway.
Yeah. Right. Wait, what are you doing with it? Do you collect Sports Illustrated covers? Because 2015, a Giancarlo Stanton cover of Sports Illustrated. I mean, Joe, are you a hoarder?
I have thrown out a lot of stuff, Howard, over the past few weeks. Like I said, we're cleaning out. So yeah, when it comes to sports memorabilia, and I collect vintage toys, action figures and stuff like that. I have tons of that. So yeah, I have lots of old yearbooks, and if a Sports Illustrated cover was cool, I'd hold on to it. And at the time, this was cool.
Wow. All right, best action figure you've got. Best action figure in your collection.
My favorite, and I don't know if the audience can relate, but there was a show called The $6 Million Man back in the 70s, and they did an arc of Bigfoot episodes. So my best action figure is a Bigfoot action figure.
Wow. Do you have any old $6 Million Mans? Like, when you used to look through his eye?
Of course. I have the original $6 Million Man. I have the Bionic Woman, and I have Oscar Goldman as well.
Oscar Goldman. Well,
isn't that from that? Wasn't there a movie where that was a big deal, right?
The 40-year-old virgin. Yeah. He's like, you have the $6 Million Man's boss action figure. What is that? That's fantastic. That's fantastic. I'm a comic book nerd. I've got like 2 long boxes of old comics that,
Oh my God.
always, yeah.
I
I'm
have like
selling them now. I'm just getting rid of them because I'm just, you know what? What am I gonna do? I'm gonna bring 2 boxes of comics up to Alaska
dude,
and
I
just
have like
die
8.
with them up there? Come on.
I have 8 sitting upstairs. I don't know. I mean, and they're so heavy too. But
All right, so I should sell my collection to you. Is that what you're saying?
there you go. There you go. What year are they from? Are they from like when we were kids or?
They're from when we were kids. There's a lot of, there's a good amount of there's good silver age, but it's mostly bronze age.
Mhm.
Like I would go, like I would take this collection to a comic book store. I'd be like, I got 20 books that are premium books, like
Mhm.
first appearance of or limited series or anything like that. But here's 20, and then every other book is probably like a $2 or $3 book
Right.
that, I would just be like, pay me for these 20 and then just take a buck for each
Right.
other comic book there.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
hopefully kind of, make that happen.
Mhm.
All
Well, my
right.
son's now into the graph. I don't want to. I mean, we got to talk fantasy here, but I'll just say that that now my son, and he's a young adult, but he's into the graphic novels. When we were kids, we'd buy individual, uh,
Mm-hmm.
comic books, but now with graphic novels where they combine the whole stories. So, but yeah, that's neither here or there.
All right. Well, you're gonna have to tell your son if he wants that graphic novel with the first appearance of the New Mutants. I'm his
You're the
guy.
man. You're
I'm his Huckleberry.
the
Indeed. All right. So let's talk fantasy baseball here. Let's talk about players who are hot. Now, I'm not just saying like hot this week or hot right now, or it's not even a question of like picking these guys up off the waiver wire. It's looking at the players who are performing well and just kind of acknowledging, where we're at and what we're thinking about, certain guys like this. For example, Jose Ramirez currently owns the longest active hit streak in MLB right now. I don't need to break down Jose Ramirez. You don't need to break down Jose Ramirez.
Just know that he plays every day. He's a 30-30 guy. Had a couple of minor injuries that I bet you that other players would probably hit the IL for 10 days, but he just played through them. He hurt his wrist, had a mild ankle sprain. The guy just wants to play on the field and is the best third baseman hands down. So that's all you need to know.
Love him so much. But let's talk about some of the guys who are, performing well recently. We kind of, question marks about them. Can they keep this up? Can they not keep this up? And I'm going to start off with a guy who, is surprisingly really good right now in his age 31 season. There's never been any kind of like big splash about Ryan O'Hearn, but I mean, the dude's hitting 340 on the year. Granted, it's carried by a 376 BABIP. I'm not saying anything, but here's a guy who also is sporting an 11.4% walk rate, right? He cut down his strikeouts to under 16%. So if you kind of look at what he's done, what he did last year when he cut the strikeouts out significantly, helped his walk rate, that plate discipline is improving right now. He's hitting for more power. He's getting more extra base hits. Like, I get that he's platooning with Ryan Mountcastle, and we can crap on Mountcastle a little later on in the show. But like O'Hearn, it's tough because he platoons. I get it. But can he do more? Can he keep this up? Are you a fan at all?
I'm a fan, but you know what stat glares out at me right now is the 18 RBI off the 8 home runs, and he bats in the heart of the order, right? He bats. I looked. He bats 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
And the Orioles have scored the 6th fewest runs as a team, so that's my concern with him.
That the O's suck. That the rest of the lineup around him sucks.
Kind of, yeah.
You can say it. It's all good.
You could only do so much, but we're basically, we're third into the season, so if he keeps this up, he could probably have a career high in home runs, somewhere around 20 or so. But that doesn't come with enough RBI for me. And obviously the average is going to drop. He'll probably hit maybe 275, 280. I mean, it depends on the size of your league. But don't get me wrong. What you said is all right, that he has made, he has improved, and what he did last year did stick. So, it's not like it was a one-shot deal.
I just want him to stop sitting against lefties.
Mm-hmm.
Like every once in a while, he'll face a lefty. They'll bring a lefty in to match up, and he's hit him fairly well. I mean, he's hitting like over 350 against left-handed pitching this season. But I mean, we're talking about like 30 plate appearances. We're not talking about anything massive. So super small sample size. But yeah, I'm with you, right? The RBI total is never going to develop, and unless the rest of the team does well. And if he keeps sitting against lefties, it's rough. If you're in a league that has daily roster moves and you can move him in and out of your lineup on the regular,
yep,
then it's a different story. Then I might be, a little bit more interested in him. What about if we want to go with somebody with a little bit more on the upside range? He seems to have finally woken up a little bit for right now, and that's Nick Kurtz. Over the past week, Kurtz batting over 400. He's walking as much as he's striking out, which is fine. 4 home runs. I look at the situation here with Nick Kurtz. Again, they're sitting him against tougher lefties. That's kind of problematic. The strikeout rate is too high. But like, what's your outlook of him as a player in general? Is this a kid who you see developing into somebody?
I actually do, and unfortunately, he just hit the IL because of a hip injury.
Oh, did
But
he?
yeah,
Bitch.
yeah.
I
But
saw him day to day. Come on.
yeah.
Damn it, Joe.
I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. But the good news is well, there's good and bad news. The bad news is that he was finally kind of heating up. He has a overall 33% K rate, but if you check out his rolling average, those strikeouts were decreasing. So that's something to hang your hat on. 5 home runs in his first 108 plate appearances. That's like a 25 plus home run rate across a full season. So yeah, I mean, I'm into Kurtz, Nick Kurtz. Hopefully this isn't a long-term thing. Yeah, I saw him pull up. I think running into third base, he just looked uncomfortable, and like you said, he was day to day, and they finally put him on the IL today, Tuesday. But I think he was making enough strides where I would be very happy to have him on my team, on my fantasy team.
I've got him on that head-to-head team that I was looking at. I'll be able to move him to the IL, which is definitely makes it a little bit easier. But dude, injuries this year, I don't know how. I mean, have you dodged them at all, or are you taking? I'm taking it on the chin this year. I mean, you always put up with a certain number of injuries. I don't think I've had a season like this in a very, very long time where I'm just getting waylaid week in, week out.
Right. Well, I've been dodging them for the most part, but in my TGFBI league, I just lost Alex Bregman, who was, I was very high on him at the start of the season, and he fulfilled all my expectations, and unfortunately lost him. And for the most part, I've had little injuries like everyone else. Like I mentioned that I had drafted Justin Steele, and he basically pitched his best game of the season. Then all of a sudden, he's done for the year. It's like,
I'm out.
Yeah, I can't do any better. That's it. I'll see you next year.
Because guess what, doctor, it hurts when I go like this.
Then don't do that.
All right. What about, here we go. So a little bit of a resurgence here from a player who everybody was extremely high on coming into the season. This is actually Nick Kurtz's teammate. I'm talking about our good friend, Lawrence Butler. He's improved at the plate a little bit lately. I mean, real slow start. Is Butler one of those guys who you just kind of, do you believe, I don't know. Did you have any, you only have 2 leagues, so I can't imagine that you have tremendous shares.
Right. No, not tremendous shares, but he is on my head-to-head league. I believed in him after what he did last year, the 22 homer, 18 stolen base season. I have him on my head-to-head team, and he's been okay. Like you said, he's been playing better lately. If you look at his numbers, he's kind of on pace to match generally his home run and stolen base totals from 2024, which was a breakout season. Batting average just about 20 points lower than last season right now, and he's really having a hard time against breaking balls, batting 189. Last season he batted 289 against breaking balls, but he's batting 100 points lower against them. And this is the big leagues, Mr. Butler. So pitchers are going to focus in on him if you can't hit him.
But your outlook has to be fairly good considering that he's on your team and
Yes.
you're just kind of fighting through it.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, all right. Anybody really players standing out to you? I could sit here. I could talk to you about the cows coming home here with Vinnie Pasquantino finally waking up. You mentioned Robbie Ray earlier. He screwed you over. Even Mitch Keller seems to have woken up. Finally, he's throwing the sweeper again. What about you? Anybody out there that's like been hot that you're that you've been in on?
Well, we talk about Pasquatch. Like you said, I mean, coming on 7 home runs over the past month. Not your prototypical 30 home run corner guy, but could give you 20, 25 home runs. And the big deal about him is he doesn't strike out too much. So he'll help you on his with batting average. It's career high 18% K rate right now. And that's still not bad for a guy who could, hit 25 home runs. So I'm in on Pasquatch.
I have him in a couple of spots as well. It was kind of funny this year. Just the way it turned out in drafts. Usually I jump in on first baseman real early, and I just make sure that I get that top guy. I walk away with Alonso or Matt Olson or something like that. This year it was all a bunch of Pasquantino and Tristan Cassis. I don't know what I was thinking there. That was just, there's the karma right there of a Yankees fan investing in a Red Sox player. But
well, let me tell you, I mean, if we're talking first baseman, that Spencer Torkelson, right? I mean,
yes,
I picked him up in the reserve league of the head-to-head league. That was an auction, but then they do a few rounds. And obviously we know about Spencer Torkelson because we play fantasy sports. He hit 30 some odd home runs 2 years ago, but then got sent down to the minors and looked like he had fixed himself in the spring, and it carried over. So it carried over to the regular season. So he's been a pleasant surprise. When I drafted him in the reserve round, I never thought that he'd be my starting first baseman in tout, and he is. So far he's doing fantastic.
Yeah, I was very into Torkelson and his teammate Riley Green when they were rookies a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah.
And it was kind of interesting because you saw them both, they were tearing it up in spring training. And then Riley Green fouled the ball off his foot and broke his foot.
Right.
And the next thing you know, Torkelson went in the tank. It was like all of a sudden he didn't have his best buddy there with him.
Sympathy pains. He was feeling some sympathy pains, right?
He really was. So I'm big.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say I'm a big torque guy. Yeah, keep going.
I'll give you. How about? What do you think about Jacob Wilson from the A's?
I was. I don't even remember when it was, but it was very recently that I learned that that's actually Jack Wilson's son. Jack Wilson, the old shortstop from the Pirates.
Oh wow! Okay, I didn't realize that either.
Right, okay. Jack Wilson, who we were drafted in like the late '90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
Being like, oh, okay, I got a little Jack Wilson there. It's just nice and cheap. So yeah, this is his kid. I like him. See, here's the funny thing. Like, you're wearing the A's jersey right now.
Yes.
I do like what they're putting together here. I like this roster. And, I feel bad for these guys that they don't have a place to call home.
Right.
But, you would have thought that they would have gone to complete crap this year, not having the home park, being in Sacramento and stuff like that. But you look at them, and I'll tell you what, they beat the snot out of the White Sox, the Rockies. I'll put them ahead of the Pirates. Like, just overall, the Marlins. I mean, these aren't great clubs here or whatever, but I think we had low expectations coming into the season for the A's, and this whole roster could very well be like the biggest surprise. Soderstrom, Rooker.
Right.
I mean, they really do. It really surprised me a lot to see how good they are playing.
And historically, and I mean within the last 10 years or so, whenever you kind of count them out, they just find their way into the playoffs, right? Didn't that just seem to be the case? Just the A's, they're just feisty, And yeah, a couple of years ago, they were horrible. I even think last year they were really bad. But sometimes, when you play in the same league as the White Sox, you kind of forget how bad the A's were. But I think they've made strides. I mean, recently, I think they lost 9 out of 10. But before that, they were like right around 500 or so. So I like their young players. I like what they're putting together as well.
It's so funny. I've got a bet with Ariel Cohen from the, Ariel.
Yeah, sure.
For those of you out there listening, Ariel Cohen, he's the host of the Sleeper in the Bust not the Sleeper in the Bust. He's the host of Beat the Shift podcast over on Fangraphs. Him and Reuven Guy, they have they do that show there. ATC projections. Those are Ariel Cohen's projections. I was on his podcast, and he and I ended up with a bet as to which would be the worst team between the Rockies. He took the Rockies and I took the White Sox. And I thought I was cleaning up there. I'm like, you got a team that's so bad, right? Like, but yet no matter how poor they are, they still play half their games in Coors Field. So they're going to hit the ball.
Right.
9 wins for this team. They're atrocious.
Yeah. I got a little nervous when the Yanks lost that first game of the series on Friday. I'm like, this is just this is just like the Yankees, because I think last year, I think we got either swept or we lost 2 out of 3 to the White Sox. So it's like, but yeah, it's such a shame because I mean the Rockies, like I think it was the mid 90s, maybe early 2000s. They were a pretty decent team. They were making the playoffs, and they have just fallen off the cliff, and they can't get themselves up again. It's almost like I don't know. I don't want to insult any a fan base, but I mean, I don't know if you could have a baseball team in Colorado just because of the air, the air. But it's not even only that. That stadium it just has. I think they said that it has like the most surface of almost any stadium in baseball. That's why there's so many hits. There's so much ground to cover.
The outfield is huge, very spacious, right? Like I mean, it's a hitter's park. It's not necessarily a homer park, but it's a hitter's park for sure. Mm-hmm. But you know what? I mean, come on, Joe. You've been doing this for a long time. If you're the GM of the Rockies, why are you not just scouting? And I mean, just scouting pitchers with high ground ball rates, high strikeout potential, huge ground ball rates, and can like throw like just give me a cut fastball, just throw a cutter and induce ground balls and let the team do it behind there. But these guys, they go out there and they pick up these guys who are just, super high heat and, mid-level breaking stuff that doesn't break because of the altitude in Colorado.
Right.
I think the problem is at the top of the heap here. I think ownership needs to get rid of the GM. I think this team just needs like a complete overhaul because they were good at one point.
Right. Well, Dave Roberts, when he commented, when I forget the name of their former manager who just recently was let go, he said, "I don't think any manager could." And I'm surprised he said it. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, "I don't think any manager could win with what they have in that clubhouse." And I'm paraphrasing him, but basically I was surprised that he, was so honest about it,
you had to be. Dude, Bud Black did not deserve to get fired.
Right.
He did not deserve because he was set up to fail based on what they're doing. It's no different than looking at, it'd be like firing the manager of the freaking Pirates, which they did.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, come on, you kidding me? Ben Cherington, he's got shackles on his wrists because Bob Nutting is a piece of crap owner. Like Pirates, Rockies, and I'll tell you what, the White Sox are kind of borderline for me right now. Definitely the Marlins. These are teams that just ownership needs to change. That's the thing. I think ownership needs to change there.
Agreed. I mean, there's plenty of money to go around. They're getting revenue sharing, right? I mean, spend it and spend it wisely. I don't know. If we're smart enough to like what you said about the Rockies is so on point. Why do we know this? And then they're not doing it. I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
I don't know. I could sit there and I could I'll load up Fangraphs right now, right? I'm just going to load it up right now and I'm going to go to pitching stats and player stats and I'm going to go to batted ball data and I'm going to click on ground ball rate. Who do I like here? Look at the top of the heap here. And these aren't like killer names.
Mm-hmm.
But at least maybe you'd find some success with them. Look at Jose Soriano, a 64.7% ground ball rate. Andre Palante, 62.4. Now, I think Soriano's got good stuff. I don't think Palante's all that great, but Soriano's got good stuff.
Yes.
David Peterson, almost a 58% ground ball rate. Christopher Sanchez, Logan Webb. Like, Clay Holmes has a 55.1% ground ball rate.
Yeah.
Why are the Rockies not going after any of these guys? I don't get it.
I don't get it either. 100% right.
Garbage. All right. Well, since we're going to talk about garbage, let's talk about the players who are disappointing us then. Let's talk about the, for every yin, there's a yang. Let's talk about the guys who have just been really sucking it over in the last, I don't know, I'd say for the season. We'll talk about the last week as well for some hitters and see where we're at. We'll start off with Bichette because here's a guy who I thought was going to be a great player. Speaking of old-time Rockies, right? Dante's kid.
Mm-hmm.
Dante Bichette was a fantastic Rockies hitter. I don't understand what's going on with Bichette. I don't know if you have an answer for me. He looked like he woke up for a week and then he went right back into a coma.
Oh yeah, I had FOMO early in the season, thinking that maybe I should have drafted him in my in those two leagues I play. I think he should just grow his hair long again. I don't know. I mean, when you look at he's having trouble against lefties this year, batting 189. Is that the case? Is there something going on, up in Toronto? I mean, nothing really, sticks out as to, what the issue is. I mean, the guy almost doubled his barrel rate from last season, still only has what does he have? 4 home runs this season. And he just stopped running after 2022, and we're always waiting for him. And yet this is a new running era of baseball, and he still only has 4 this season, had 5 the previous 2 seasons. I mean, like I mentioned, barrel rate's up, hard hit rate is up, but no power. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I think we got fooled. The 2021 season, that was the year that we were using a golf ball, right? Instead of a baseball.
You might be, maybe you're thinking 19. Was 19 the go-go ball? But maybe you're right. I mean, they change it every year, Howard.
I know, right? But I mean, did we get suckered in? 29 home runs, 25 stolen bases. We got suckered in a major way here. Now, in 2022, power stayed about the same. I'll take 24 home runs. That's in the range of where it needs to be. But then 13 stolen bases. Then all of a sudden, like the speed disappeared in 2023. The power started to decline. Last year was atrocious. This year, I mean, yeah, he'll hit more home runs this year. But I don't know if this is a player who I want anymore. Right. And I have a couple of shares of him, actually.
Yeah. His expected slug is 100 points over his slug, if that makes you feel any better for,
No.
It
doesn't make me feel any better.
We have to play in a league where expected stats are. Well, if the sun was shining and he was at bat, he would have gotten a hit that day. Okay.
Right. And if Woody had gone to the police, this would never have happened, Jeff. See, it's always nice when you can do a podcast with somebody your own age, right? And all of a sudden, all those references, they actually make sense.
Right.
I say if Woody had gone to the police, this would never have happened. And this is what I get from Colby. Huh? I don't get it. Augustine Ramirez, everybody's favorite catcher ad. Listen, you look at the overall numbers right now. I mean, batting two. I don't care who's batting 240. 240 doesn't matter because 240 is league average at this point, right?
Yes. Yes.
Nobody's hitting for batting average. So 240, he's got 6 home runs and he's got 1 stolen base, 13 RBI. We don't expect much from him in the RBI department, but here was a guy who started off white hot, who has been ice cold over the past week. So the question is, Joe, did we all miss our window on Augustine Ramirez? Because people are still trying to trade for him. I see his name bandied about, in the Fantasy Alarm Discord. People have brought him up again. I mean, I don't know if this is a guy who you believe in, this guy you want to avoid. Where are you at with Ramirez?
I kind of want to avoid him. I mean, I know it's not, he only has maybe 19 plate appearances against lefties, but can't hit them. Over the past couple of weeks, batting 230. I mean, his minor league stats, they were decent, maybe 266 batting average. But I think that maybe we just jumped ahead too quickly. And I think he still has some growing to go. I mean, he's not somebody, unless it's a 2-catcher league, that's where I would take a chance. But in a single catcher league, I think I'd pass right now.
All right. One of my favorite got it right kind of a situation. I think that's probably why I added him to our little show doc here, just so I could kind of toot my own horn a little bit. Beep, beep. I have no Willy Adames. And I was very, very adamant with people during the preseason to not draft Willy Adames. I didn't like the move to San Francisco. When he went from Tampa Bay to Milwaukee, the big comment from him about hitting in Milwaukee was he loves the batter's eye. The batter's eye in Tampa was terrible. He was struggling to see the ball. And when he moved to Milwaukee and he got into that batter's box, like it was a totally different ball game for him. Locking him down against right-handed pitching at home back in old Miller Park was like the be-all, end-all. Now he goes to San Francisco, the cold, damp air at night during the summertime off the bay. That's a problem. It is a major pitcher's park situation. And Willy Adames has, he hasn't lived up to many people's expectations. He's lived up to my expectations, which were in the toilet for him. So I will just, you know what? I'll be a little braggadocious there, Joe, and say, I told you so.
Take a bow, my friend. Take a bow. You should. I just remember watching his part of his press conference, and it was just a little. It just didn't feel right. I don't know why. I can't even pinpoint what it was, but it was almost like he was just trying to convince himself that it was the right move, to go play for the Giants. And the one thing I do notice, if you look at his numbers, he's not pulling the ball as much as he used to. That's not going to knock his batting average down from 251 to 205. I think you're 100% right. I think that stadium just is not a good fit for him. It's a shame because he was a guy that, you would count on for, upwards of 30 home runs a season. And you don't get that too often with shortstops, but this is it just seems like a bad fit for him. And I kind of feel bad for the guy.
What about you? Anybody that you're seeing is a little bit on their way down that kind of concerns you a little bit?
Well, one guy, and I think I put him on our sheet, Anthony Santander.
Yeah. I was going to ask you later on who your biggest disappointment is. Yeah. So let's there we go. We'll jump right into this one here because okay. I've got him too. I've got him everywhere as well. Yeah. What the hell happened? I thought you're supposed to go and hit in Toronto. Damn it.
Right. And I don't know if there's an underlying, I've heard rumors of a shoulder injury. I think it might be a hip as well. Maybe just the move. There's a psychological thing when a player moves from one city to another. I don't think that's the case here. I think that probably is maybe an underlying issue that we'll find out at the end of the season. Oh, he was playing with this injury all season long. Now he's getting cleanup surgery or something. Because you don't go from being a guy that hits, 30 home runs a season and he never was going to hit for a high average, but he's not a 189 hitter. There's just no doubt about that. So, yeah, I ended up dropping him in TGFBI after a while. I just couldn't take it anymore.
I mean, it's mind numbing. It's very, very frustrating to say the least. It blows me away to see that. So yeah, I will jump on that bandwagon with you. You've got another guy in there. It's kind of funny. Earlier you were saying you grabbed Bregman when you could.
Yeah.
Every time it came to, I was looking at third base in my drafts, and it always kind of came down to Bregman or Mark Vientos. And early on, I grabbed a bunch of Bregman, but then I kind of softened. I was like, okay, what I got to do is I have to spread out my shares a little bit more. And so I took Vientos. Guess what's happening with those teams, Joe?
Yeah, I had Vientos on my TGFBI as well. Still have them, still holding on to him, but obviously I saw what he did last season, loved it. I thought and I don't want to turn this into a let's bash Juan Soto again, but
I'll bash him.
No, but I remember when Juan Soto came to the Yankees last year, he just lifted the hitters up. Like I remember Waldo Cabrera said that they got off to such a hot start. He said just watching him in the box, So I thought that maybe some of that Juan Soto-ness might find its way to Vientos. But unfortunately, it hasn't. And his barrel rate is more than half less than what it was last season. Hard hit rate is about the same, but his slug is 374. And here's a guy that I thought was going to hit 30 home runs this season, and just not getting it done. But Brett Beatty, finally, a guy, a third baseman for the Mets, is starting to come around a little bit. It's only a short period of time, but he might be the answer for the Mets right now. But Vientos, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think you do make a good point when you bring up the fact of Juan Soto, right? A rising tide raises all boats.
Yeah.
I've had this conversation with Jim Bowden a couple of times about it, and it's really kind of interesting when you look at Juan Soto. Jim pointed out, he said, I don't think Juan Soto understood the heel turn, that he was going to be as hated by the Yankees fans, and in New York. Like here was a guy who was walking down the street in New York and everybody loved him. Mets fans just respected him, right? Yankees fans absolutely adored him. And he turned his back on the Yankees. And so they're not cutting him any slack. And now you go to the Mets for this insane amount of money, and then you're not delivering. So now they're piling onto him. And I'll tell you what, a rising tide will raise all boats, but a sinking ship is going to take everybody down with him. So if he doesn't fly straight and he doesn't, kind of turn things around, I'm definitely concerned for the rest of that team. I mean, I'm concerned from a fantasy standpoint as somebody who has Vientos and Lindor, but not to the point where I'm like, oh yeah, I hope the Mets do well. I don't. Not at all. Not at all. I'm going to give a dishonorable mention to Ryan Mountcastle because he's been dog crap as well, and pretty much any pitcher who's been on the IL already is probably on my roster too. So I'll do that. But Joe, as we kind of wrap things up here, let's end it on a positive note. Okay. Your favorite surprise, the biggest surprise of the season so far.
My biggest surprise. Well, it was Torkelson. How about Casey Mize too? We'll stick with the Tigers. He's another, he's a guy that, again, I picked him up in the reserve round of the Tout Wars League. And, again, a lot of talent, had a big spring, and the Tigers just in general have been such a surprise, right? I mean, I know they finished the season strong last year, but when you look at what Mize is doing, 6-1, 2.45 ERA, I wish he would strike out more batters, but has really good control. Only walking 1.9 batters per 9. So, with me spending with that strategy that I told you about, where I wasn't spending a lot on pitching, the fact that I was able to get Mize in an auction league for free and to see what he's doing is it's been pretty rewarding, pretty surprising as well. I didn't think he'd be this he'd be this good.
Yeah, I definitely did not think that Casey Mize would be sitting at 6-1 right now with a sub-3 ERA.
Yeah.
And you know what? I mean, you look at the peripherals. You can talk about his, his FIP and his xFIP are a little, up there. But I don't think we were ever expecting Mize to be, like a sub-3 ERA guy anyway. Right? I figure, when you draft a guy like Casey Mize, you're thinking, okay, mid-3s. Right. If he's having a great year. So I think there's definitely a lot of room there for sure. I will close it out with a shout out to probably the biggest surprise for me this season so far is what the hell happened with Geraldo Perdomo? Can somebody please tell me when this guy learned that he can hit the ball? Like, he's there for his glove and he's blocking Jordan Lawler. And he's got locked down. He got an extension because of his fielding. And now all of a sudden, this dude's a hitter. You got to love that.
Yep. And the 11 stolen bases as well. Yeah. And he has 6 home runs. That's the most he's ever hit in a season, an entire season back in 2023. So, yeah. I mean, got to love what he's doing. No doubt.
Career year.
Yeah.
Career year. In his age 72 season, Geraldo Perdomo popping a career year. Well, all right. Well, Joe, I got to tell you, man, it's a pleasure to get to sit and hang with you, talk a little baseball. What do you got coming up? When's the next bullpen report coming out?
Tomorrow.
Oh, beautiful.
So, yeah. So, last week, talked about Ronnie Henriquez, who actually I talked that he might get a save for the Marlins, and he did. So, so so try to get something special for you for tomorrow and keep the grid moving.
There it is. Keep the grid moving. Yeah, check it out. Bullpen report, closer report, whatever you want to call it, over at fantasyalarm.com. Joe Gallina. Follow him on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, at Joe Gallina, JoeGallina. And then check out the closer grid. It is the ultimate free tool that we've got over there at Fantasy Alarm, because Joe updates this thing virtually every day. And it is just, I mean, it's perfect. It's built, color coordinated, but not only does it tell you who's getting the saves, but who's on deck and then who's in the hole as well. So it goes 3 relievers deep for every single bullpen, giving you guys everything that you need for chasing saves throughout the year. So, Joe, it's been absolute pleasure, and appreciate you filling in for Colby for sure.
I appreciate you having me. Great talking to you, and enjoy the rest of the baseball season.
I'll try. If fantasy football doesn't get me first, but that's going to do it for us here for Caught Stealing. I thank all of you for tuning in. For Joe Gallina, I'm Howard Bender. We'll catch you next time.